Kojak, oh, Kojak, let's talk. I think we're due for a good conversation here.
Well, I just wanted to let you know, Doc Milo, listen here, Chico,
Oh, you do. Oh, I'm a big fan of Razor Ramon.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm too busy as a police chief. Well, listen here, we got some problems here. It's to do with this Abbott and Glenn Farfinger and Curly Joe. You do realize they're working behind the scenes against you.
Oh, that's the point.
That's the point. I do understand here. So we know that they're a threat.
Oh, they're a big, big, big threat. Big, 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 big threat.
Okay, so they're a big threat. Wouldn't you think it would be in our best interest to arrest them and to keep them locked up so they don't interfere in what we're trying to do?
Oh no, you should totally let them wander around. It's good content.
It's good content. It's a security risk. This would be like after 9/11, instead of us going to Afghanistan, it would be like, well, the Taliban are creating content for our TV stations, so let's just let them do whatever we want?
Yeah, they should have done that. It would be content. It's content, man.
Wait, stop. This is real life. This is we're having a security issue, a national threat, and we are to just let them go because it creates entertainment for the TV.
Oh, you gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Why am I working for you again?
Because Sir William Esquire programmed you to be a one of my goons, and
Okay, I'm Kojak here, and all right, you pay me well, and being paid well is all that matters. But during the time that those two are really kind of going at each other, it's very easy for anyone to kind of turn on Dark Milo because he's kind of an idiot. Curly Joe is sneaking into the building because the secret agents told him, he should and try to, get something on these guys. And of course, Curly Joe runs into some of the Pooguppy Adams. Hey, buddy, is off limits. Hey, Officer B, are you this guy is off limits. And then the other Pooguppy Adams is looking at him, and he goes, what are the limits, by the way, and what's off limits? Hey guys, I don't think this is off limits. I think we're still well in the limits here. And the Pooguppies are looking at each other, and well, listen, he's off limits. We need to kind of arrest him for trespassing. The other Pooguppy's looking at him, and I don't think he's off limits. We really never actually determined what the limits were, officer. See? And then they're looking at each other, and they're getting confused more and more. What? Wait a minute! You brought up a really interesting idea. Maybe it isn't off limits. Yeah, see, I'm not off limits, so it's not trespassing. And then the other Pooguppy brought up the whole issue. He went, well, wait a minute, you're not trespassing, buddy. Just take it easy. The free coffee's over there in the corner. Oh, I think I'll have some free coffee then. Well, what do you know? And then, he sneaks away. But Kojak discovers Curly Joe and sends out his soldiers. What? Oh no! Oh no! Oh no, oh, I see on the monitor it's that Curly Joe. Oh, Dark Milo, I'm sending out an alert to all the Poo Guppies to arrest him, and they're chasing after Joe. And then of course, they capture him, because that's how it is. And so Kojak begins to question Joe. So you have caused me a great deal of problems. And apparently I'm binded by how I can treat you three. I am very binded. But I will know for a fact that you have trespassed. Well, actually, Kojak, I'm not off limits here. Wait, what are you talking about? Well, one of your officers says I was off limits, but then the other one debated that I was actually in the limits because they never really determined. The officers never determined what the limits were. So really, I'm actually invited here. Actually, oh no, why do I have to work with these idiots? They're so dumb. They seem like pretty nice people to me. I was becoming friends with them. I like the free coffee. Oh no, you've learned where the free coffee is. Oh, jeez. Meanwhile, well, actually, he continues to question him, but really he's not getting anything out of him. And, Joe's just Joe, and, there's just nothing to get out of that. And it doesn't help with the Poo Guppy Adams is pretty much, Kojak asks him, now, officer, didn't you see this man is trespassing? And, well, actually, it's been debated amongst us that we never determined what the limits of what trespassing is here. And he wasn't really hurting anybody, so I think he's okay. Oh no, no. You see, they thought I was okay. Outside the building, Glenn and Abbott detect Joe has been gone too long and plan to go in and rescue him. Oh no, it's Abbott, it's been a while. Yes, I'm very concerned. Capture. What are we gonna do, Jerry? I say that we are gonna have to go and rescue him. It's a tried and true method of doing things. Maybe it wasn't the best of idea to send him in there, but it surely was content, though. It surely was content. I can imagine what it'd be like to break into a police precinct full of Poo Guppy Adamses. That would be very funny stuff. Well, I would recommend that maybe you play a game, and maybe wherever Joe is, they'll let him join in or something. Satellite video or something. Do we even use satellite video anymore? I've probably been watching too much wrestling, haven't I? Well, you've been hanging around us, I bet. Well, we got Skyrim. We got Skyrim Anniversary Edition here, Joe. Hey, yeah, we got. Oh, look out for the Druger Death Lord. Oh, Joe, it's we're kind of outnumbered here. We got a lot to deal with here, and heal up a lot here. Oh, let's see. These scrolls take too long to really, you gotta go, you gotta do the hand thing. It's like jazz hands. It does a lot of damage, but you gotta first do the jazz hands first, and that's rough, Joe. That's really rough stuff. Oh, okay, so you gotta get I'm gonna tell you, in Skyrim, always load up on healing potions as possible. I mean, you can't we keep messing with that spell, it doesn't freaking do anything because you gotta go for the stupid hand motions first. So there's like a cool down time, and if you're getting piled up by a bunch of people, you could just get walloped, just absolutely walloped, man. And we're just looking for our weapons, and we're already low on health. And you know how this game is there was actually a time when you see what it was is they put in Skyrim something that's in the Fallout games. They put in that at any time during the battle that either you or the enemy can do like a big critical final blow, which sends everything into an animation screen, where you get just destroyed. Well, so there was a time that wasn't in there. I mean, Skyrim's gone through some changes. I mean, obviously, with any Bethesda game, there's been sometimes things they've added over time, and I mean, Skyrim now, 12 years old or something like that? 13 years old or 14 years old? We're getting older, and it'll be before you know it, someday someone will talk about the 35th anniversary of Skyrim. I mean, 35 years, yeah, oh yeah, time goes by like a fart in the wind, You smell it, and then it dissipates and dissipates and dissipates. Then there's a fresh fart. And so, you're right now, and a lot of times, like, I'll admit to you, Joe, I like to hear, yeah, well, we got so many save files and save games. Sometimes I'll confess we don't really quite know. This is probably some of the best armor, by the way. I mean, we don't usually put anything into armor. We like smithing. We don't usually put anything in smithing. I don't know why. It's just, we're very autistic here. So there's certain things we like, and then other things. Maybe because we saw like smithing as being like a lot of work. And we didn't really want to put points into something that's just seen as like grinding and stuff, and we really were more into like putting it into like one-handed fighting and stuff. But of course that's of course hypocritical, because we literally during a week vacation once about 2-3 years back, we put everything into getting 100 at least 100 in blocking. Which, I'm going to let you know something, folks. You still take damage. So, if you think that's going to, like, make you invincible... Oh! Oh! That dude was just right up in your face. That's that, Farfinger, dude from the Companions. We usually don't do any companion stories because, like, there's a part in the story where basically they turn all into satanic werewolves. It's just wrong. It's just, you're a Christian, you're not supposed to be indulging in satanic demonic rituals. You would ask, well, what is that? Well, it would be nice if it was just they were basically the Fighters Guild and they just didn't bother you. But there's a certain point in their story where basically they take you to a ritual room and then you have to drink some kind of blood that's like werewolf blood or something. It's really satanic, and now your character can turn into a werewolf anytime you want, which is kind of, I don't know, that's kind of against the ideas of making a decent character, if you're trying to be a hero or something, I don't think indulging in demonic activities is exactly very, very heroic. So yeah, I mean, if you want to be evil, yeah, I mean that you just want to be horrible, yeah, you can do that. But same thing with the vampire thing. I mean, yeah, you could be like a good vampire, I guess you could like, but usually with werewolves, in the movies and stuff, the person is barely in control of themselves when they turn into that. So I don't know why you would want to be cursed like that, but but then of course they don't give you really an option. If you say no, then really the story can't progress. So we just don't bother because Bethesda games, there's a crap ton of content. Crap ton of content. A lot of content. It's a lot of content, Joe. I mean, I've made the argument you can totally ignore a complete faction. You can just ignore them. And you would never know they existed because there's so much to do. There's so many things to do. Like, I made the argument that you make your own story every day when you play a Bethesda game. And a lot of times what happens is somebody off the beaten path says, well, I got this problem and I need you to help find my long lost sword or find a long lost friend or whatever, and then you go on the leads and even if that takes like a half hour to an hour, I mean, doesn't that, it almost feels like a main quest in a way. It's kind of weird, you end up going to a dungeon or whatever, and that's the way it is, And I realize that, everyone's probably saying by now, by the time this episode comes out, you still guys haven't played Starfield. We're backed up with game footage, guys. It's not our fault. We could actually probably create a show where we only do shows like on the fly, and that probably would be better for the longevity of the channel. But I always argue, well, what does it really matter if we play the game brand new? We're gonna play it anyways eventually. I mean, but the Bethesda games are generally always been our go-to for things. Like, the problem with the newer games, you notice that we play like Returnal, we played like Jak and Daxter, or you did it again. I called it Jak and Daxter, didn't I? I didn't call it Ratchet and Clank. I'm sorry, it's a freaking Disney game. I don't know. I'm old. I'm a boomer. We made fun of it. We said the one character looked like someone's special ed teacher. Assistant special ed teacher. Oh, it was funny. Oh, the little things that our brains come up with while watching these games, But yeah, our footage gets backed up, and of course the nice thing is if we ever caught like COVID or we said that word. We're going to get in trouble with the Saturngrad people. If we ever caught that, if we were really sick and we were out for a long time or whatever, we could flat out tell you there's game footage that goes over a year. So we may not be doing anything production-wise for a long time because we would be, on the shelf, but are we gonna get one of those blue things now under the video? Mr. Pennypacker's not gonna be happy with us. He's been missing in action, but and he's been in hiding. We don't even know where he is, but I can assume he's gonna bring it up with us. He's gonna be like, well, there's something I need to talk to you about. You got a blue line underneath your channel with like Wikipedia stuff. Did you say something? Because we're not monetized. You never know, things could change someday. And it is true. We're starting to get some views now. It's because maybe we're finally hitting the algorithm better. Like, the past we had no idea. We just sort of did our own thing, Joe. We just entertain ourselves. This is just a hobby show. It's not, like Saturngrad makes its money from book sales and stuff like that. It doesn't make its money from like YouTube. Like that's stressful. Like I couldn't even imagine making money from YouTube. Because there's so many ways to lose it all. You could get demonetized. You could, and then I'm hearing really even that in some cases, video game footage altogether isn't getting you much ad sales anyways because they just say that's not because they think you're trying to manipulate kids or something. It's for kids, and so you can't. So they don't really want to get involved anymore. It's really, you gotta blame all the adpocalypse stuff because humans are opportunistic. They love corrupting kids and hurting kids, and so as a result, it ruins it for the people that were actually just having a fun time and making some money, and now they don't make money. And it's really. There used to be a time on the internet everything was a hobby. I mean, I can remember a time when there was very, very little, Joe, there was very little corporate activity. I mean, there was some, some were fascinated by this new thing called the internet, but for the most part, 1.0 was just normal people, that sharing their fandoms, really. I mean, I remember Frater talking about his first ever webpage. It was called like the Celtic Odyssey, and all it was just you make a homestead site back in the day, and so that's really the first thing Frater ever did, isn't it? Yeah, it was back in the late 90s. I mean, we're talking about very late 90s. And so it would be very much, during that or the year 2000. So it's really still during like that Internet 1.0 days, and that was really before people had like the fast internet speeds, like YouTube couldn't exist in the Internet 1.0 days because everyone either had 56K or some kind of T1 or something like that. I can't remember how it used to be. Till broadband was really becoming a standard. That's really when you could start to have full video. You couldn't have a channel like this because the people, 56K people are not going to be watching this. They're not going to be able to do so. I mean, looking up pictures, if you know what I mean. Pictures, photography, nudge, nudge, photography. Well, at least you're being honest. I mean, that's what people did back then. Yeah, Joe, people did those kinds of things. Because it's the human nature to wander, and they see an apple and they eat it and they get kicked out. They get kicked out, But we're troublemakers at heart, and that's the problem. But back in the days, of Internet 1.0, there was the Celtic Odyssey by Frater, and he said that back then you made a website not because you had ideas, it's because you just shared your fandoms, like he loved Doctor Who and, old school Star Wars, and that's the facts. But the problem is that site became a pay site, and I think it pretty much prompted you that you had to become a member and pay every month, or else they would just take down your web page, which was pretty dickish. And he wasn't gonna pay. It was just text, and one thing you could do is you could put up a chat room. That was kind of cool. That if you knew how to embed that into your channel, you could have a chat room, and that was so you could. That was kind of like the beginnings of like, we were some of the ideas, in our Sattergrad, we got from those early days, Hey, I don't think you guys have ever talked about those early days. Well, it's because there wasn't much to do back then, like I mean, you couldn't make videos, so you had to just write. You're a writer, you could flourish, But understand, with anything, like the internet, yeah, back in the day, you either made a website that you were able to attract attention to and essentially become one of the early pioneers of the internet, or two, you just simply just disappeared and no one found you, no one saw you, and that's it. You just sort of disappeared, and a lot of a lot of people in the sector just disappear because I would actually argue, like Godwinson used to say Kino, and I would actually argue that there was super Kino, and that's when you go back to the Internet 1.0 days, and that was before video, and when you, when you had just made like a free web page, and you would just add your comedy and stuff and write, but you had to write, you couldn't just sit in front of like a crappy webcam and whatever, and a lot of those people that put the camera in front of them, man, they just get destroyed after a while. Well, it's because what happens is, see, you have to understand, these people, the whole point of being a commentary channel is to go to war with somebody. Well, sometimes, buddy, you don't know who you're messing with, and a lot of times what happens is you can act like you're so perfect and stuff, and there's somebody out there who, there are autistic people, they can locate anything. You and that's the reason why nobody says the term treasure hunts anymore. Nobody says treasure hunts because all the autistic kids, when they grew up, were able to find every single treasure hunt in the world. Literally all that you need to do is give them a picture. And they'll go, they'll be like, okay, that's good enough. I got it. Well, what they do is look up landmarks. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just landmarks, and they can find like a little shed somewhere. And as long as there's always something to identify a local area, like some people just think, well, if I take a picture of myself outside in the woods, like no one's going to figure out where this is. Are you sure? Are you sure? I mean, there might be a rock, let's say if you're in a park and stuff. So let's say there's just this huge rock. Well, maybe that's a landmark that's actually considered quite popular. So then maybe they just start. I mean, I don't know how long it takes, though. They never mention, like on like kiwi farms and stuff, like how long it takes them to find things. But these people have to be revered because they can find anybody. They can find anybody. I really think that, maybe investigators, there would be no mysteries because they would just find everything on kiwi farms. Like if, we asked them about Jimmy Hoffa, they would probably be like, oh yeah, well he's buried underneath that football stadium, and we can backtrack the pictures and everything, and it would show you. And the investigators are like, well, how come isn't we spent 10 years trying to figure this out? And an autistic kid on Kiwi Farms just figured out where Jimmy Hoffa is located, and it's like, that's the magic. That's they're very good at what they do, and we gotta go. Just gotta go.